now. But Wednesday night into Thursday, areas in the hill country could be hovering at or below freezing, and that's where the biggest ice accumulation potential will be. I'm going to show you these comparisons. You'll say, that looks fine, no big deal, right? Now let me show you options C and D. Option C, just some light icing in the hill country. This one, a much more significant issue, especially for the hill country community. So just to let you know, right now, Austin, I don't believe will be too big of a deal, but in the hill country, that's where some icing may potentially have some minor impacts to travel. At the very least, be prepared for cold.
Your Storm Tracker weather with Chief Meteorologist Chik Windler.
Warm and windy. That's the weather we're dealing with right now. By this time tomorrow, though, winds of change will be moving in as an Arctic cold front will be upon us. Right now, it's still 70 degrees. Our high today, 85, the warmest since December 10th. And unfortunately, here we go again. How many times have we talked about major roller coaster weather this winter? Season switch. That's what's heading our way as early as tomorrow night when that front rolls through. So tomorrow I'm forecasting a high of 86. Wednesday afternoon all the way down to 35 degrees. It's one thing to talk temperatures. It's another thing to talk also about some precipitation on the way. And unfortunately, especially in the hill country, I do think some light icing will be possible. To our north right now, it's not ice, it's storms. In fact, severe weather currently ongoing in Denton County, a reported funnel cloud not too long ago. We don't get any of that. Instead, maybe a spotty shower overnight. That is it. So we look our attention to the north. That's where the Arctic front is starting to make its way to the south, and with it, extremely cold temperatures. Sub-zero out in places like Bismarck. You can track the weather, by the way, with our CBS Austin weather app. Let's take a closer look at current temperatures across central Texas, where we're balmy, upper 60s to around 70 degrees. Combine that with a stout south wind, current gust in Austin 31 miles per hour. So we're going to flip the script. Tomorrow night, we're going to see winds shifting to the north, 10 to 20 miles per hour, right?
Hello, hello. How's it going, you guys? Okay, so here's the deal. We've got an Arctic cold front that is on the way, and when it gets here, it is likely to be, well, another shock to the system. How many times this winter have we gone through this scenario where we're really warm and then all of a sudden the bottom drops out? I'm Chik Windler, and here is your latest update as we basically are just playing that waiting game. Right now it's warm, it's balmy, it's windy, and just to give you a lay of the land right now, there is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 2 a.m. for areas of North Texas. There have been several severe thunderstorm warnings, and meanwhile into Oklahoma, tornado watch, and there are several tornado warnings. As for us, some very, very spotty light showers that are trying to develop out into Mason County, a few little spotty light rain showers trying to canvas through eastern sections of Llano County near Lake Buchanan and into Burnett as well. Not much is going to come out of this, and I'm only advertising about a 10% chance that any given location does see some showers through the overnight. Here's the 7-day forecast, and I've got to tell you, it is pretty crazy. Charles, what's going on? Oh, let me go ahead and take off the extra logos, and that way we should be able to see your comments. Let me pull that stuff off, and I forgot to move those out of the way. Almost there. Let's see. I think that'll do it. I think I just need to move the CBS Austin logo, and then we're able to see all of your comments as they come in. Hope you had a good President's Day. I know a lot of people had the day off and got to enjoy some downtime. Ooh, I have some visitors. Let's see. Hi, Ewok, you want to come up? Skippy, you want to come up too? I gotta reach down and grab you. I know it's a little tricky. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I feel you're out there. Oh, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Oh, okay. So we have the skipster. Walkie, you want to hop up so we can say hi? He's down here by me. I know, you're a good boy. We got the boys in the house. Okay, now I see Charles's comment. Oh, I have to take the Facebook logo out as well. Bear with me. I forgot because whenever I record my weathercasts, I put those logos on there, but then when I'm doing live, I want to be able to see you guys and your comments. So I think that'll take the Facebook logo away, and that just leaves one more thing, which is the cbsaustin.com. Okay, now I can see your comments. How's everybody doing tonight? So yeah, it was probably a long weekend for many of you, and you got to enjoy the beautiful 85-degree warmth, quite the nice, pleasant weather, and then things are all about to change. It's going to be quite interesting, to say the least. All right, so we've got this Arctic cold front that's going to be on the way. And I want to make sure I didn't miss any of the comments from the beginning. Okay, so I'm scrolling back up here. Um, Charles, I'm assuming you were the first one. You'll see your comment over here. Thomas, Jen, this weather's giving you whiplash. I know, it's so crazy. Curtis, hello to you. Charles, Seth, Hanson. Chris is mentioning that back in 1996, I mentioned it in a previous post on Facebook about the record warmest temperature ever for the month of February was in 1996 on February 21st. At Camp Mabry, we hit 99 degrees, and at ABIA, we hit 101. Crazy weather, right? And here we are, crazy weather yet again. Hans said, felt great today. James, what's going on? Oh, thank you so much for the congrats on the race. I was so glad the marathon was yesterday as opposed to today, because obviously today's weather would have been too warm. It would have been awful. Leslie says more. Polar vortices after next week. Let's hope not. Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for spring. I need it. Seth, hope you're doing great as well. Okay, so basically what we're dealing with is still some high uncertainty as far as the forecast is concerned. What I'm highly certain about is that there's going to be a cold snap of air that comes through. By this time tomorrow, temperatures will already be falling as the cold front will be to our south. Now the question is, how far will the temps go? Right now, I think in the hill country, be prepared for some light icing. It could start Wednesday, continue through Thursday, and possibly wrap up on Friday. At this point, I don't think the amounts are going to be all that impressive. However, it doesn't take much. Whenever it's freezing rain that falls on surfaces, you just got to be careful, especially elevated surfaces like railings and even on your car and bridges and overpasses. I just have this hunch that the National Weather Service will probably put us under a winter weather advisory, especially the hill country. Areas south and east of Austin, you have the least amount of concern and the least likelihood of seeing much of anything out of this. Even if temperatures are hovering around 32, just because we've had temps in the 80s, those road temperatures are going to be so warm that any initial precipitation isn't going to slicken up the roads. Instead, it's going to melt on contact. But it is just crazy, the scenario we're looking at. Rod, hello, you say. Oh, your comment, there you go. Emotioned Monday, back in Christmas. There you go. Jennifer, how you doing? You say you hope no ice in Austin and Liberty Hill Wednesday night. Yeah, there's a small chance. And I think that if you're in Liberty Hill, if you're in Leander, if you're in Florence, Gerald, anywhere in northwest, basically north and west of Austin, is it's fair game that there could be temperatures cold enough. So you can kind of see where we're heading with this. You know, the warmest will be Tuesday, 86 degrees. Then probably before sunrise, we're already down to 50 on Wednesday, and then temps continue to fall into the 30s. By Thursday morning when you wake up, it'll be around 32, and we may hover in the 30s all day long. We may not even make it. In the hill country, you may be hard-pressed to get above, like, say, 34, 35 on Thursday. And then we freeze again on Friday, and the freeze on Friday is likely for pretty much most of our area. So even if you don't end up freezing Wednesday into Thursday, you probably will Thursday into Friday. And then we're not exactly climbing out of the cold, but it's at least going to make it closer to 60 or 62 by the time we reach Sunday into Monday. So as far as the specific time frames when I'm most concerned about us having some icing issues, especially in the hill country, I'm going to target Wednesday night into Thursday. We'll put a check mark there. And then Thursday night into Friday. And let's put a question mark for Friday night into Saturday. Because on Friday night into Saturday, the amount of moisture looks really, really scant. But it does look like we're going to have quite an interesting go of it, that's for sure. Hanson says, hey to Rhonda. Allison, thank you so much for the congrats on the marathon. I have to be honest with you, it is surprising how good I feel given the fact that I ran 26 miles yesterday. As Chris alluded to earlier, here are those records. Isn't it crazy? 1 degree away from 100 at Camp Mabry back on this date in 1996, and 1 degree above 100 on this date in 1996 out at the airport, the hottest it's ever been in the entire month of February. Today was warm, and on other occasions, 85 probably would have been enough for a record, but just not given the fact that 1996 was so incredibly warm. Sally, what's going on? Thanks for checking in. So here you go. We have Cedar that for once was in the low range. It's been kind of bugging us a lot. I will say though, it was so windy today that tomorrow when we get the count in from the allergist in Georgetown, it wouldn't surprise me if Cedar's gone up. But at least this morning it was temporarily in the low range. Oh, I think I had like a few extra graphics that I hadn't quite finished up. I'll skip through those and we'll go to the, typically what I'll do is I'll stack my show, and sometimes I'll have some stuff toggled that I don't actually put on the air, and I had my whole lineup in there, so disregard the last map. Jennifer says, no, it happened at midnight. And Rod says, wonderfully warm the last few days. Yes, okay. And now, what's ahead? Dun, dun, dun. The Arctic blast with winter weather possible. Just currently outside, it's still 70. I'm expecting an overnight low of only 66. Crazy. The average high is 68, so our low is going to be almost as warm as a typical high. And of course, we've got the falling temperatures, the wintry mix, yet another roller coaster ride ahead. So much so that I'm thinking mid-80s for your high tomorrow, Tuesday, and mid-30s for your temperatures Wednesday afternoon. So in that 24-hour change, 51 degrees. And we're not even talking wind chills. Wind chills probably going to be in the 20s for many areas by Wednesday night. All right, so here's our setup currently. We have Gulf moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. We have Pacific moisture streaming in from the Pacific. We have a dry line, which is this over here out in West Texas. And then as mentioned, we're kind of watching the severe weather to our north, which will not affect us. So that pink box is the severe thunderstorm watch. And there's one warning up near Denton. Earlier, there was a funnel cloud that was reported in Denton. From some storm spotters. So yeah, there's some nasty storms that are moving through areas just north of the Metroplex. Meantime, to our north is where the cold front is lurking. The severe weather risk, as we look ahead, the new update for, this should be for Tuesday because all the maps change once we get to midnight. And technically my computer says 11:58, but I think the new update came out from the Storm Prediction Center. So this is where the severe thunderstorm threat will be for Tuesday as it heads towards Tennessee and across the Mississippi River Valley. Okay, so as far as the front, the one that is going to be bringing us the Arctic air, it's plunging quickly to the south, so much so that temperature about 2 hours ago was 50 in Amarillo, and it has now dropped to 25. That is a front. Bismarck, 9 degrees below. That is a cold front. You can track this, by the way, on our CBS Austin weather app. Okay, meantime, as we zoom in right now across Austin, it's nice. 69 Willow City, 72 degrees in Thorndale. It's also rather windy if you have stepped outside lately. Current winds are gusting up to 30 miles per hour in Austin. So it's going to continue to be windy through the morning hours. We're going to see lots of sunshine developing. Any cloud cover first thing in the morning and a stray shower pretty much out pretty quickly. Afternoon high all the way up to 86 degrees with sunshine, warmth. I mean, you'll practically be in summer mode. And then the bottom absolutely drops out. Let's see, Chris says some snow around the area where you are. See, you've got the never-ending winter too. Hanson says, surrounded by cedar trees. Oh my goodness. You say it hasn't been surprising me. Wow, I am impressed too. All right, let's track this weather, shall we? Through the midnight hour and beyond, clouds and maybe a spotty shower. That is it. We wake up in the morning around 66 degrees. Already starting off pretty balmy. Southwest winds give way to south winds, and then we see a high temperature up to 86. What's interesting is there are indications that the front might possibly come through. Initially, I was thinking tomorrow night, but look at this. See how there's a wind shift already? We're starting to see a north wind shift from this particular computer model. Even though temperatures may still be around 80 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that front might potentially, or at least a boundary ahead of the front, might start to shift our winds as early as late afternoon, and then temperatures continue to drop. So don't be too shocked if you walk outside and you're like, wow, it really got cooler. That may be the signal that the front is rolling through perhaps even earlier. Roughly thinking around 60 degrees for the technical high temperature on Wednesday, just because it'll be whatever it is past midnight. Could see some stray rain showers in a few spots, and then we wait for the changeover. So here's a look at 7 a.m. So roughly around sunrise, we've already dropped from around 50 at 6 a.m. down to 48 degrees. Some areas like Mason and Llano may already be in the upper 30s, but at least through daybreak, everything is green. So that basically means everything will be liquid in the form of rain. Let's go through time. As we work our way toward midday, the plot thickens. We're around 40 in Austin, but by this point, it's not much, but there might be a little bit of mixing in Wilco, maybe in Blanco, maybe Fredericksburg, maybe out toward Mason. It's going to be very spotty and very light, but in general, colder temperatures are going to be pulling in, first to the north and west, and then slowly but surely sliding to the south and east as well. So by 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday, there may be a pretty good delineation between light wintry mixed precipitation and light liquid cold rain. Just keep that in mind. Then as we advance through time on toward Wednesday night, that's when temperatures even go to or slightly below freezing. And once we get to this zone, generally north and west of Austin, is when any elevated surfaces could start to glaze up. So if you have Wednesday night into early Thursday plans, especially in the hill country, this is when the impacts could start to develop. And also, the longer that we stay at or below freezing, the more likely that even though roads initially will be like, yeah, whatever, we've been 80 degrees, maybe even some minor issues on roadways. Now, potentially all the way through Wednesday night and all the way through around lunchtime on Thursday, the majority of the hill country could be hovering right around freezing. Given that, that's where the biggest impacts, if at all, could be. Meantime, right now I'm thinking that Austin might make it down to around 32 Wednesday night into Thursday, but then warm up above freezing to around 34, at which point it would only be elevated surfaces that would have impacts, because at the surface, 32 to 34 degrees, we wouldn't be cold enough for it to like ice up most of the main roadways. It would just be elevated because you've got air coming from both sides. So as long as we stay just, even if it's a couple of degrees, just above freezing, then we're just talking about precipitation that affects not main roads, not main travel, which is my hope. I really hope that will be the way things will pan out. Okay, so that takes you through just looking at potential for icing. Two different computer models. The one on the left, you got to look really hard, but there's a little tiny bit up in Mason County right there that I'm circling that's showing some very light icing, like very far northwest corner of Mason County. The one on the right is showing northwest Mason County actually getting a little bit of ice accumulation, and also a little tiny bit in Burnett County. And that's it. So if this is all we see, then everyone's like, yeah, it's cold outside, but we did okay. In contrast, I wanted to show you a different computer model, and the one on the left is actually showing, in general, west of Austin, a very light amount of icing possible that would encompass much of the hill country. And as it is with freezing rain, it really doesn't take that much, even if it's only 1/100th of an inch or so. There can still be some glazing that can cause some patches of ice on roadways, so just something to keep in mind. However, the computer model on the right is the one that has been most bullish on potential icing issues, especially in the hill country. So even though it's showing some light icing, let's kind of work it through by how much would accumulate by what time. So this is Tuesday night into Wednesday midday. I don't believe that we'll see much by that point. I think it's just going to be too warm, and pretty much most everyone will just see everything melt through around lunchtime on Wednesday. But as temperatures do cool down by midnight Wednesday night into early Thursday, there might be enough ice, enough cold air for some very light accumulation. And again, this is the worst case scenario. The other computer models are it's probably going to be somewhere in between the two, but this would be like if it is the worst possible setup, this is what could be yielded. So in this instance, the highest icing might well be through these areas you can see in purple out in the hill country. And let's say in Austin, for instance, 0.03 inches of possible ice, if you will, more than likely wouldn't be a big deal. It might be I mean, it would probably be less substantial than what we saw early February with the previous icing situation. Some of the roads did get bad with that one. TxDOT was out pre-treating. I think that it really makes a big difference. So in terms of total amount of liquid available through the next 7 days, most locations are going to be in the 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch range. But I did, of course, add the possibility of light wintry mix, though little, if any, accumulation is expected. The hill country would see the highest potential, if at all. Now remember, I showed you the worst case scenario earlier with icing. Let me show you the best case scenario. This is the computer model that was showing 0 ice accumulation for our area. In this one, you can see that there's a decent amount of wintry mix that is to our north and west as we head through Wednesday into early Thursday. And it stays mainly to the north and west. So here's Thursday morning, where in this instance could be cold rain here in central Texas with the mix farther north. And then as we look ahead toward Thursday afternoon, that mix and even some snow lifts even farther to the north and we stay cold rain. And then here's a look at Friday morning. This computer model is not showing precipitation Friday morning like some others are. And then as we continue into Saturday, from Friday into Saturday, there was just a quick little hit of some light cold rain. So that's the best case scenario, is that we just see some spotty rain showers here and there. It's cold rain and all of the really bad wintry weather stays to our north. I feel like it's going to be somewhere in between. I have a hunch the hill country will probably see some icing. I also think if you're south and east of Austin, chances are you're probably going to just be cold rain. And it's in the Austin area, and especially up towards, say, Georgetown, Round Rock, where there may be a pretty good transition between, oh, it's kind of bad here and there's slippery spots, and oh, really? It's no big deal here. And so typically you lean north and west for where the impacts may be. So anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Temperature-wise, as we look ahead to March 2nd through 8th, cooler across Texas, warmer out in the desert southwest. And then let's look at precipitation. We had seen, as of late, a wetter trend, and it's now looking like it'll turn drier. So the wetter trend will be to the north, and the drier trend will be right over us here in central Texas. And we will wrap it up with one more look at the 7-day forecast. As you can see, cooling down all day long Wednesday. Still those question marks for how cold it'll get in the early morning hours Thursday and Friday. Also, more question marks as to how much moisture will be around. Will it just be patchy light drizzle where it won't really have much impact at all? Or will it be more showers? So those are some things that we'll have to continue to watch. Rick says, you get to wear your winter jacket for hiking. Well, there you go. It will be cool. You'll get to do that for sure. Hanson's not working Wednesday or Thursday. Get to be home, thankfully. And Jennifer says, no, be home around 9. Oh, no go. So anyway, that is your latest update. Avery will have your forecast in the morning. They start on CBS Austin on the morning show at 4:30 a.m. Dark and early. I was going to say bright and early, but we all know that sunrise isn't till 7 something. And in the meantime, you can always check cbsaustin.com for the latest forecast updates. Those of you who are watching right now on YouTube, thanks for checking in. Likewise, for those of you who are tuning in from the CBS Austin Facebook page, and I am going to bid you all adieu. So, spotty showers possible through the overnight, and temperature out at Austin Bergstrom is 68 degrees right now. Temperature out at Camp Mabry is still 70 degrees, even at midnight. It's something else, isn't it? All right, so thanks again for joining in, and you can always also download our CBS Austin weather app.